Before we go into the main program, let's quickly take you through a historical background of where the Indigbos were, where they are today, and the way forward. Join us in this prologue. The Igbos are one of the largest single ethnic groups in Africa. They are predominantly based in southeastern Nigeria, where they make up more than half of the entire population of that region. They can also be found in significant numbers in some African countries, such as Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. Their language is also called Igbo. The primary Igbo states in Nigeria are Anambra, Abia, Imo, Ebonyi, and Enugu states. The Igbos are also more than 25% of the population in some Nigerian states, like Delta and Rivers State respectively. Traces of the Igbo culture and language can be found in Cross River, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa states. The arrival of the British in the 1870s and the increased encounters between the Igbos and other Nigerians led to a deepened sense of distinct Igbo ethnic identity. The Igbo also proved remarkably decisive and enthusiastic in their embrace of Christianity and Western education. Under British colonial rule, the diversity within each of Nigeria's major ethnic groups slowly decreased, and distinctions between the Igbos and other large ethnic groups such as the Hausa and the Yoruba became sharper. The classical novel Things Fall Apart by the late Chinua Achebe, though a fictional account, succinctly captures the epic clash between the new influences of the British and the traditional life of the Igbo people in pre-colonial Nigeria. In 1966, there was a twist of fate. A failed coup d'etat by Nigerian army officers led by an Igbo, Major Kaduna Nzego, resulted in the death of Sir Amadu Bello, the Sadana of Sokoto, a prominent northern Nigerian of the Hausa ethnic group. Although the coup was foiled primarily by another Igbo, Johnson Agui Ironsi, the unfortunate misconception in northern Nigeria then was that Hausa leaders were singled out for death. This situation gave rise to a retaliatory program in which tens of thousands of Igbo were murdered in cold blood in northern Nigeria. This led to the headlong flight back to the eastern region of as many as 2 million Igbos who were then residents in that part of the country, abandoning their properties and other wealth acquired over the years in the melee that followed. Many of them who had lived in fine mansions in the cities where they had established themselves prior to the war returned home as refugees to squat in mud houses with their relatives in the villages. Eventually, the crisis reached an apex in May 1967 with the secession of the Igbo-dominated eastern region from Nigeria to form the Republic of Biafra, headed by Colonel Ojukwu. The secession quickly led to the civil war after talks between former army colleagues Yakubu Gowon and Ojukwu broke down. The Republic of Biafra lasted only until January 1970, after a campaign of starvation by the Nigerian army with the support of Egypt, Sudan, and the United Kingdom, leading to a decisive victory for the federal troops. Ironically, the war brought out the ingenuity, the perseverance, the never say die attitude of the average Igbo man. This was succinctly captured in the last wartime speech of Chukwuemeka Odumegu Ojukwu, head of Biafran state then. He had stated, inter alia, "In the 3 years of the war, necessity gave birth to invention. During those 3 years of heroic bound, we leapt across the great chasm that separates knowledge from know-how. We built rockets, and we designed and built our own delivery systems. We guided our rockets. We guided them far. We guided them accurately. For 3 years, blockaded without hope of import, we maintained all our vehicles. The state extracted and refined petrol. Individuals refined petrol in their back gardens. We built and maintained our airports, maintained them under heavy bombardment. Despite the heavy bombardment, we recovered so quickly after each raid that we were able to maintain the record for the busiest airport in the continent of Africa. We spoke to the world through telecommunication system engineered by local ingenuity. The world heard us and spoke back to us. We built armored cars and tanks. We modified aircraft from trainer to fighters, from passenger aircraft to bombers. In the 3 years of freedom, we had broken the technological barrier. In the 3 years, we became the most civilized, the most technologically advanced black people on earth. Well, at this point, my colleague Chinaza is ready to continue the story.
Thank you, Uche. After the Nigerian Civil War, Igboland has been severely devastated. Many hospitals, schools, and homes have been completely destroyed in the brutal war. The federal government of Nigeria denied the Igbo people access to all the hard currencies such as pound sterling they had saved in Nigerian banks before the Civil War, and only allowed them to a minus compensation of £20 per adult bank holder. For example, a man who has over £450,000 saving in one or several bank accounts could only receive £20 following this policy. In addition to the loss of their savings, many Igbo people found themselves discriminated against by other ethnic groups and the new non-Igbo federal government. Due to the discrimination of employers, many Igbos had problems finding employment, and the Igbos became one of the poorest ethnic groups in Nigeria during the early 1970s. Nevertheless, Igbo land was gradually rebuilt over a period of 20 years, and the economy was again prospering due to the rise of the Niger Delta petroleum industry, which led to new factories being set up in southern Nigeria. This recovery from the depths of the Biafra War is an example of the uncanny resilience and resourcefulness of the Igbo. Many Igbos eventually regained government positions. Again, after the Nigerian Civil War, many Igbos immigrated out of the traditional Igbo homeland in southeastern Nigeria due to the growing population, decreasing land, poor infrastructures. Not only have Igbo people moved, but have actually contributed significantly in building Nigerian cities such as Lagos, Benin City, Kano, Kaduna, Maiduguri, Ibadan, and Abuja. Equally, they have moved to other countries such as Togo, Ghana, Canada, Ivory Coast, and the United Kingdom, and the United States, of course. Prominent Igbo communities outside Africa include those of London, UK, Houston, Atlanta, Washington DC in USA, Finland, Malaysia. In fact, Igbos can be found in virtually any part of the world, anywhere the sun reaches. Tragically, however, the Igbos are today faced with a myriad of problems and challenges, ranging from moral decadence to socio-economic problems. Even today, Igbo people have sometimes continued to face discrimination from other ethnic groups within Nigeria polity. They are always at the receiving end in virtually all facets of endeavors in Nigeria today, from crisis of value to insecurity, from politics to economy, from education to infrastructural decadence, and the list continues. That the level of insecurity in Igbo land has reached unacceptable level is no longer news. In virtually all parts of Southeast, daily reporting of kidnapping, armed robbery, and ritual murder have morphed from gory to the macabre. A newspaper reported online recently that commercial and industrial activities in the entire Southeast zone has reached unprecedented heights. The paper, for instance, reported that in Anambra State, a total of 62 wealthy businessmen have fled Nnewi industrial town, while half of the businessmen in Igbo land have relocated to other parts of the country for fear of falling victim of kidnappers and armed robbers. Though it could be argued that Igbo land is not the only area of the country with security problems. The distinguishing features, however, is its absurd level, which recently prompted President Jonathan to order joint military operations to flush out the hoodlums in the area. Some prominent Igbo leaders appear to suggest or even argue that the cause of this war in the Igbo land is traceable to a crisis of value, typified in people's apparent deification of wealth. He blames the Otinku, praise singers, musicians for contributing to the crisis of value with their songs that seemingly glorify charlatans who came into wealth by questionable means as owners of their community. The moral decadence has also reached an alarming level from the get-rich attitude of the younger generation who do not want to work hard and engage in legitimate business to other serious and heinous devices. Now, my colleague Ola will take it from here.
Thank you, Chinaza. This is the concluded part of the prologue. With many Igbo boys belonging to the League of the Uneducated, that is, ignorant of happenings around them, they see money making as the only way and means to achieve fame and success in life. And in that regard, they see governance or any struggle to achieve a collective social cause as a waste of time and resources, preferring to be imprisoned in their little world, dominated by little minds and little thoughts. Igbo land suffers today because the giants like the Azikiwes, the Ojukus, the Mbakwes, and the Okadibos, who are now in their graves. The vacuum they left behind has proven to be too big and too sophisticated to be filled by the pretenders masquerading as Igbo leaders. For instance, whenever there are issues that demand applying consensus in the interest of the Igbo nation or Igbo Renaissance, there are usually discordant tunes dished out by smart crooks who have become stupendously rich by either cutting corners or becoming professional blackmailers, sycophants, or political prostitutes. The Igbo elites have sold our birthright to the highest bidder. It is simply a charade. Our neighbors laugh at us and see how the once mighty Igbo are now a shadow of its former glory. In the area of development, to say that the states of the Southeast need economic integration as much as other regions of the country, or even more so, is merely stating the obvious. There is no doubt that the Southeast is among the least developed areas of the country, if not the very least, in terms of infrastructure, which is worsened by the virtual absence of federal projects in the region. This is one reason the Igbos of the Southeast are scattered in all parts of Nigeria and the world, where they contribute immeasurably to development, while their home region remains backward. Joining forces will likely reverse this trend. Let others who have the good of Igbo land at heart join this debate. Who knows, we might still be able to redeem Igbo land from its present calamitous state. We might still be able to wrest Igbo land from the grip of kidnappers, armed robbers, and other criminals who have made visiting home a nightmare. Especially since some pundits believe these crimes are rooted in the widespread joblessness in the land. And we might still be able to move all these our children hawking on whatnots at every bus stop back to their states, where they can contribute more meaningfully to the development of both themselves and their states. From this point, my colleague Uche will take over.
Thanks, Ola, for bringing us to this concluding part of the program. Today, ladies and gentlemen, in the public presentation of Drums of Change, we shall be interviewing key leading Igbo role models who will be doing justice to those issues raised in the prologue.
and how are you? It's my pleasure to welcome you to this public presentation of Drums of Change. Drums of Change is a television program designed to highlight positive core Igbo values and to also act as an agent of change in tackling the ever-increasing moral decadence in Igbo land. Somehow, there is uniformity of opinion on what constitutes core Igbo values. Based on that, our focus is to highlight all the positives in our makeup as Igbo, such as communal efforts, good family values, integrity, and hard work, among others. We have interacted with some highly respected and influential Igbo whose public and private life have exhibited these positive core Igbo values. And from our interactions and interviews with them, we do hope that the younger generation will emulate these role models as agents of change. That's our mission. This public presentation is divided into two segments. The first segment deals or centers on moral decadence in Igbo land. And the second segment showcases the positives with which Igbo can be defined. That's our package. Stay tuned as we go on break.
Wow, there's Dad!
Yes, of course.
One day I'll be great just like Dad.
Yes, my champ.
Grandpa, how did Dad become great?
With the help of Fidelity Bank, they always make people's dreams come true. Come sit down. They support farming, construction, business, factories.
Wow, cool.
And they always keep their word.
Always, Grandpa?
Always, my dear.
Now they can help me launch my rocket.
Great for supporting people and the economy. Fidelity Bank PLC. We're Fidelity. We keep our word.
Silence! Malaria, your days are numbered. I hereby order that you be remanded in Lonald's custody.
True talk, malaria don't pafuka with Lunat, but you must be able to identify your original loaner drug. Now, with mobile authentication service, you can confirm if your loaner drug is genuine. Simply scratch the back panel attached to your pack to reveal set of unique numbers. Text the numbers on the scratch panel to 38353. Receive an instant SMS reply confirming the authenticity of the loaner drug. SMS text is free and available to all networks. Ensure you send the text to 38353 at the point of purchase to confirm the loaner drug is genuine. Available now on loaner DS packs only. Report fake loaner to NAFDAC immediately with number displayed on your phone. Lonat, effective ACT for malaria treatment, is marketed by Greenline Pharmaceuticals.
Welcome back. Earlier I highlighted positive core Igbo values. Amongst them is moral values. In the past, Igbo placed high premium on this attribute, that's moral values. But today, it is nothing to write home about. I'll be seeking the opinion of some highly respected and influential Igbo on this issue. My first guest is Chief Simon Okeke, former chairman, Police Service Commission, and Ochendu Namichi. Ochendu, do you believe there's moral decadence in Igbo land?
It goes without saying that there is. Very much indeed. There is.
In your own opinion, what do you think is the cause of this moral decadence?
Well, some people say it is as a result of the war. The Biafra-Nigeria war, which completely annihilated the Igbo psyche and do's and don'ts in Igbo land. And as the saying goes, it's very easy to destroy. To build is very difficult. But it's not. I don't agree it is all as a result of the war. and the destructions of moral values in igboland. The war ended more than 40 years ago, 1970, and we can't continue to blame the war. To a large extent, let us claim the blame. We have to accept that what has led to the decay in values in igboland arose from within igboland, within the Igbo people. Young, old, men and women. Because the moral ethics in igboland, for which Igbos are known, no longer hold. People don't even remember that there is anything like that. Only maybe people of my age, and we are fast going. What happens when we are gone? It's such a mighty vacuum. We have to go back to the root of what makes Igbo man what he is. Those things are no longer there. We don't respect those the guidelines that our fathers and forefathers grew up with and handed over to us, which we ought to hand over to our own children. But many of us are not. It is most unfortunate. How can a man, the head of the family, be there in his home? His son or daughter, who has no visible means of income, is seen wallowing in wealth, in affluence, driving some types of vehicles, young women wearing kinds of dresses and ornaments and gold and so on. A responsible father or mother ought to ask his son or daughter, how come? How come? All this, what are you doing?
My next guest is Barrister Oscar Onwudiwe. Barrister Oscar Onwudiwe, this issue of moral decadence is affecting the younger generation of Ndi Igbo. If you are asked to advise them, what would be your take?
When we were growing up, the greatest people were teachers. The people we all revere were teachers, and we made progress. Because revering a teacher means you revere knowledge. Because knowledge is power. In those days, you see people who didn't go to school crying, oh, if only they went to school so they can read what Zeke said in the papers. That was when education boosted. It was, everybody wanted to go to school because you must have gone to school to be a star. When we lost our values, you're a star. Once we see the type of car you're driving. If you build a mansion in your village and you park big cars there, you're a star. Once you do that, children will drop out of school. People do what works. If today a professor comes to a village meeting and one small boy who is selling spare parts, the professor starts talking The small boy says, look, I shut your mouth with 20,000 naira. Everybody will clap. The next day, 15 people will leave school and they want to be like that boy. Because everybody wants to be a star. So my advice to the youths is, not the youths even, their parents. The parents who still have some spiritual or moral fiber. We need the churches now to stop talking about collecting money every day in the churches, but start talking about values. Continue to preach values. Slow down the traditional values. Continue to preach it. Etwa the Nambo, the way it used to be. The days of Nnamdi Azikiwe, the days of Akanibiam. The pastors should please do this. Pull down money. Stop building new churches. The ones that are there is enough. Talk to the people. Evangelize the people. My message to the youths remains clear. If you can resist the rubbish happening now, you will make it tomorrow. But if you flow with it, you will go down with it. Because this is just a passing phase. It's a passing phase. A youth that will leave school today and say, no, you go ganja man, fagger man, Ozu, and you focus on Ozu, you will be the Ozu, because there's no way you won't die. There's no way you would die. For how long would you be the person that be talked about in the village? 1 year, the next year, another guy is a Bugobozu Kanke, and he'll be the one to be talked about, and you make your mistake, you go down.
My next guest is the president of Aki Kenga, Barrister Godi Uwazurike. Barrister Godi Uwazurike, do you think that disrespect among the younger generation in Igbo land poses any danger?
Our Igbo youths, believe me, are in the wrong direction. And what do you think spoiled the politics of Anambra State? Is it not an uprising by the youths, jumping a certain generation and taking over leadership, and being youthful decided to do it in the wrong way? That's what happened. That's why when I told Anambra is the same state that produced Zig, Ojuku, Ikweme, Okibo, Chris Okibo, Chino Achebe, etc., etc. You won't believe it. Or Colonel Ben Boulier, Cyprian Ekwensi, or even our own equivalent of the internet guru. You know, believe you me, many things have gone wrong, but it's our duty to start talking, and we will not stop talking until something goes right.
Hard work is one of the positive core Igbo values, and my next guest, Professor Peter Nwilo, Surveyor General of the Federation, will tell us what he thinks about hard work. Professor Nwilo, let's have your take on this issue.
One thing I had always believed was in hard work. I believe that every child must work hard. You must make up your mind on what you want to be in life. You must determine that. And you don't just assume that you want to be a big man. You have to work. Perseverance, hard work, and trust in God is very essential. Perseverance. If you don't persevere, you never get to the heights.
Still talking about moral decadence in Igbo land. My last guest in this segment is Barrister Chijioke Okoli. Barrister Okoli, what would be your advice to the younger generation of Igbo as far as moral decadence is concerned?
What I tell people is that whilst you may not be an Aliko Dangote, who well officially is rated the richest black man, but that if you work hard and remain focused, that you make a success of your life. Hard work ultimately pays. That playing by the rules and due process ultimately pays. But it worries me personally that if we look at the society now, the younger elements, sometimes I talk to university undergraduates or fresh graduates, and then their mindset, I believe that they will need to be reworked. Otherwise, this society is in a big problem. But in a way, it's not entirely their fault, because there's a moral crisis going on. They don't know which way to follow. We see a whole lot of a whole lot of celebration of not only mediocrity, but also downright unethical practices. Because we see people who are rogues, they may not have gone to prison, but they cut corners. In fact, in a way that if they were caught in some of the things they were doing, should have been in jail. So this common knowledge, and then you have some of those people being celebrated, and then the damage to the psyche of the younger generation will be massive, because then they say, they look at these people who are being celebrated, that they were common felons.
Well, that brings us to the end of the first segment of this public presentation. The second segment, which will be coming soon, will be showcasing the positives with which Igbo can be defined. Stay tuned as we go on break.
Silence! Malaria, your days are numbered. I hereby order that you be remanded in Lonal's custody.
True talk, malaria don't pafuka with Lunat, but you must be able to identify your original loaner drug. Now, with mobile authentication service, you can confirm if your loaner drug is genuine. Simply scratch the back panel attached to your pack to reveal set of unique numbers. Text the numbers on the scratch panel to 38353. Receive an instant SMS reply confirming the authenticity of the loaner drug. SMS text is free and available to all networks. Ensure you send the text to 38353 at the point of purchase to confirm the loaner drug is genuine. Available now on loaner DS packs only. Report fake loaner to NAFDAC immediately with number displayed on your phone. Lonat, effective ACT for malaria treatment, is marketed by Greenlight Pharmaceuticals.
Welcome back. This second segment of this public presentation will now showcase the positives with which Igbo can be defined. Remember that when the Queen of England visited Nigeria in 1956, the Nigerian nation could not provide a befitting vehicle to take the Queen around. However, a Nigerian of Igbo extraction provided the limousine with which the Queen toured Lagos at that time. That is the positive with which Igbo can be defined. In fact, we made efforts to feature some highly respected Igbo in this segment. Amongst them, Dr. Pascal Dozier, Mazi Sam Ohwabunwa, Professor Pat Otomi, and Professor Anya O. Anya. But because of their tight schedule, they were not available for this program. However, the Igbo nation is full of achievers. So we were able to reach other highly influential Igbo to be part of this segment. First amongst them is Dr. Emmanuel Eboga. Dr. Emmanuel Eboga, OON, or Dawala Jinoka, was the former special advisor to the president on petroleum matters. Indeed, he was the first Nigerian of Igbo extraction and in first black man to become project advisor to the Libyan and Malaysian national oil corporations. His achievements there attracted the attention of the federal government, and he was appointed special advisor to the president on petroleum matters. That's the positive with which Igbo can be defined. But besides his contribution and achievements in the oil sector, Dr. Emmanuel Eboga is also a philanthropist and has a passion for youth development. Dr. Eboga, welcome to this segment. Can you tell us some of the things you've done for youth development?
I have very extensive health program for the youth. I have very significant endowment program, scholarship programs, and all sorts of things that I do for the youth. And if you look at my endowment program, you find that I've made a lot of endowment to many schools, from primary school through secondary school, universities, that offer scholarship programs to enable other people to study. Many of my people I talk with, I say, this is something we must do. Many of them say, well, Nobody helped me to do my own. Why should I waste my time doing it? I said, you did that, you were lucky. And many people don't necessarily have the same luck, but we need to offer them a helping hand to achieve that. As a result of that, I established extensive scholarship programs, and you are also aware that the secondary school in my village at Umubu, I actually built it and equipped it with computers and libraries and all sorts of things. I built them, and I have scholarship programs for students in that school, and I have scholarship programs across Nigerian schools and universities, covering Nnamdi Azikiwe University, University of Ibadan, Lagos State University, Federal University of Technology at Owerri, University of Port Harcourt, many others. And recently, this Godfrey Okoye Catholic University at Enugu. I have scholarship programs everywhere. Bells University of Technology at Ota, where I offer scholarships that I said, for students who couldn't have otherwise come here to study, this scholarship program for me is available. And it's in the value of 100,000 naira per student per year. And at Nnamdi Azikiwe University, I have 10 of them. University of Technology at Ota, 2 of them. Lagos State University, 1. And when I came here, I ordered and brought 100 computers from California at a cost of 58 million, which I distributed to Nigerian universities. So University of Technology at Owerri, Lagos State University, University of Port Harcourt, Dennis, my old grammar school, Dennis Memorial Grammar School at Onitsha, and that my own secondary school. It was the first secondary school in our state to have computers, which I brought and built a computer center for them. I also have some at various universities across the nation. And you are also aware that I made a special endowment at University of Port Harcourt to build what is called Emerald Energy Center for Petroleum Studies, which endowment I made plus more than 10 scholarships for students to be able to study at the Institute of Petroleum Studies. These are all youth development programs. And it is very difficult to find any place that I have not made some contribution in that regard. And I do it with a view that others in this our society may see what is being done and it could rub off on them.
Another Nigerian of Igbo extraction who has exhibited one of the positives with which Ndi Igbo can be defined is Professor Peter Nwilo, Surveyor General of the Federation. As a professor in surveying at the University of Lagos, Professor Nwilo dazzled the university community and beyond, including the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Raji Fashola, with his creativity and ingenuity in the area of geoinformatics. That's the positive with which Ndi Igbo can be defined. Now, Professor Nwilo, tell us briefly your legacy, or the legacy you left behind at the University of Lagos.
The first of the things I did was attracting facilities. I attracted software from Chevron and computer, that ArcGIS 8.1 then. Because of my drive to help my master's students, Chevron provided ArcGIS and then 3 compact computers. That's when we were starting our masters in geoinformatics. Now, that was the first one. It was then closely followed by when wireless internet came out. I saw it somewhere, because those days we used to use what is called dial-up. So I saw a wireless internet, I didn't believe. I went to the company. I convinced that company to give us one of their licenses, a modem. And that modem could provide internet to up to 5 people. I begged them, and they gave University of Lagos free. So I was the first person to bring wireless internet to University of Lagos. And we used that to generate so much money. We used to train our students. Some of those people who worked, I used students to run it. So they were staying there. I made so much, I loved them. So they worked for me and for the university, and we paid them money to sustain them. As if that was not enough, I wrote a proposal that helped us to establish what we later called GCLEMS to Prologue Center for Environmental Information Management System. I wrote that proposal to United Nations Industrial Development Organization. And with the help of people like Chidibe and Professor Chidibe and Dr. Chikawe, that thing went through in UN. And so that center was established in University of Lagos. Initially, I had wanted it to be established in a unit office. But when the proposal finally got approval, I suggested to the managers that it was better to be in a university. And it came to the University of Lagos, convinced them to put it in University of Lagos. And University of Lagos gave us a space. So it was not a shared responsibility, UNIDO and University of Lagos. Now, as I was doing that, of course, during the interval, I got approval to go to Inland Waterways as head of research. That was for my sabbatical, head of research, plan and environment. And I pioneered the setting up of the research planning, research and environment department. During that my 1 year, we published a book. I started to sponsor a study on pollution and sedimentation in inland waterways, which we later on turned into a book published by UNIDO. Now, as I was running the GCLEMS Center, I was called by a lady, so one day, just from the blues, and the lady said to me, "Am I on to Professor Will?" I said, "Yes." And I said, I asked her, and she said she's Miss Juliet Ezechie. I said, what do you want from me? He said that she saw my name in the internet and wanted to discuss issues with me, and that was how we started talking about ETF, the then ETF support for the University of Lagos and other universities. I drove the process so quickly that after we finished, the lady said to me, "What are there facilities you think you need urgently?" Because I asked her to come back. So now if you come back and help us, she said that's exactly what she wanted to do. So I told her, before she dropped, I had written a memo, an email to her telling her what we didn't have and what I thought how they could help us. Within the next 3 weeks, the lady was in Nigeria. And the next thing, the following day, they said we're going to Abuja, to ETF office. I came to ETF office and I didn't know they had my CV. When they presented us, I was amazed. And she talked so well, and anyway, that led to ETF funding for University of Lagos, where they gave us facilities worth 213 million. And of course, about the same amount was also provided for University of Nigeria New Campus, Department of Surveying, Geoinformatics and Surveying, and ABU, Department of Surveying and Geoinformatics. Of course, some were also provided to polytechnics. So that's my life. That's the kind of things I did for University of Lagos. So and more importantly, was the students I mentored. Because mentoring was a major part of my interest in the university system. I mentor people, young men and women who have become somebody today. We have had 3 PhD and 3 first class women first class. I mentored the 3 of them. Of course, I mentored quite a number of men who made first class. I met 2-1. I not only did that, I also helped in getting them jobs and even getting them scholarship. I got scholarship for a lot of students, Nigerian students, through my contacts. Some of them, when you hear the story, you'll be amazed how they happen. But that love for students was always there. And of course, I must say that my students love me dearly.
I will not end this public presentation without mentioning one of the Igbos of self-made caliber. He is Chief Dr. Chidi Anyebu, Chairman, Chisco Transport Company Limited. Despite the fact that Chief Anyebu was not opportune to have formal university education, today he gives tutorials in some Nigerian universities on the practical aspect of transportation, which is his passion. That's the positive with which Ndigbo can be defined. And besides, Chief Anyebu has offered employment to more than 5,000 Ndigbo. And he's also contributing to the development of his hometown. Chief Anyebu, tell us briefly what you have done for your hometown.
I have done a lot of things. I have built roads, 2.8 kilometers asphalt style in my town. I have built civic centers for the whole of my town. I have built, right now I'm building a church, which will finish by next month. I have things I'm doing as much as God have permitted me to do. Trying to give what you get from the public back to the public.
Chief Chidi Anyebu, I'm sure you have observed the negative behavior of the younger generation of Ndigbo, I mean the youths. How can we put an end to this negativity?
What I would advise is that anytime you hear election, try to come out and help to choose the right candidate. The right governor will appoint the right people that will help him. The people that have their mindset is to contribute to their state. That is the way out.
Whatever has a beginning must have an end, and this is where we're going to end this public presentation of Drums of Change. Now, if you're watching this program in the East or watching it on our YouTube, that's our YouTube channel, please be informed that this program needs your moral and financial support. We also need adverts. Yes, we need adverts because we want this program to be aired in all television stations in the Southeast. Thank you very much for being part of this public presentation. My name is Rafael Zanwaji. Bye-bye, and God bless you.